Is a budget for a couple in retirement of just £1,300 a month too extreme? And will it lead to early retirement misery? Stay with me and I'll show you exactly where we can cut our standard budget of £1,700 a month down to this frugal level. And we still factor in a 2-week holiday abroad each year. If we use this budget in retirement, then it would enable us to retire even earlier. We'll run the calculations through our spreadsheet later to find out the exact age at which we could retire. There are a few important factors that we have to make sure are in place first if we wanted to go with this extreme budget. So the first one being no mortgage. If we were to survive on just £1,300 a month, then there's no chance that we could continue with our current mortgage payments, which will be going up to around £540 a month in April. To go with this budget, we would have to downsize the house and pay off the mortgage with the equity released. If we did this later this year or next year, then I think we would be looking at a property to buy of about a maximum of £250,000. If we can keep it under £225,000, then there would be no land transaction tax to pay. This is the Welsh version of stamp duty. This reduction in house price from our current dwelling would also have the added benefit of reducing the council tax. More about that later. The second factor that would need to be in place for us to use this budget is no debt. So, other than stoozing, which is using money borrowed on a 0% credit card to earn interest on savings, so other than this, we don't have any debt other than our mortgage, which will be paid off if we went with this plan. Debt in retirement is a massive burden on the budget and one to be avoided if you can. I am planning to pay off this money owed on credit cards this year anyway, as I would like a cleaner balance sheet without the complications of debt, even if it's at 0%. I've been doing this stoozing for many years, off and on, and feel it's now time to draw a line under it and move on. Thirdly, and equally as important, is a low cost of living. So going through our expenditure and taking out anything unnecessary and reducing bills where possible. So primarily, I'm not talking about removing fun things that we enjoy doing. In my opinion, there would be little point in early retirement if we didn't enjoy ourselves. So this is where cutting the council tax comes in by downsizing the house. We currently allow £350 a month for council tax. Now, this factors in a bit of future inflation as it's always going up by more than inflation. In reality, I think our council tax in this coming year will be about 15% below this. In our £1,300 a month budget, we would need to cut this drastically by downsizing to a band D or below. So these are the 3 points that I think we need to address to run with this budget. I think they are all easily achievable. So without further ado, let's get onto the budget and see the numbers. So here's our current budget that we have been planning for a while to use in our early retirement. Let's take it to the extreme and see what's possible. Firstly, I would want to point out that running a car can be quite expensive. There's always the threat of an unexpected bill around the corner, as well as the usual things such as fuel. So if we were to go with this budget, then we would probably sell the car and use public transport instead. If that was the case, then the location of our next property would be absolute key. We would need to be somewhere where there was a lot of routine things that we could do day to day within walking distance. Also, there would need to be frequent bus and train services. And linked to this, if we chose to remain in Wales, then from the age of 60, we would get a free bus pass, which also includes free use of the local trains during the winter. So now applying that information to our first line of our monthly outgoings. Insurances, that would be cut down to £25 a month, as we would have no need for car recovery breakdown insurance. Next up is birthday presents. We were going to cut this in a few years down to £25 a month anyway. So feel this is easily achievable and could probably be cut slightly more, but we'll keep it at that for now. Next, on to miscellaneous items. We're going to keep this at £30. This covers small one-off costs, like an annual visit to the dentist or haircuts for Crenza. Next, Christmas presents. Currently £40 a month is saved. If we were to go with this budget, then this will need to be cut to the same as birthdays. So that's £25 a month. Now, Christmas food and drink, that is at £40 a month at the moment. That would need to be cut to £30 a month. It's still a large figure of £360 a year that is saved up for Christmas, and that is on top of our normal weekly food shop budget. Also, with a smaller house, then there would probably be less family members visiting at any one time. So I feel an overall cut of 25% in the budget seems about right. Now onto our spending funds. These would need to be cut in half. So £25 for myself and £25 for Crenza. Remember, this is extra money for each of us to spend on additional things and doesn't include normal routine stuff. So now on to broadband, phone, Sims and Netflix. I don't think we can make any savings here. It's already cut back to a level that we consider the minimum and wouldn't want to take it any lower. Other bills, they remain the same at £60 a month. As we're already on a water meter, then I don't think we'll see much difference here. There might be a few pounds a year savings, but we'll keep it as it is for now. Next up is leisure memberships. Regular viewers of this channel will know my thoughts on this. Yep, it's not getting cut. In retirement, it's important to remain active and fit, and swimming is the sport that I love to do. As well as swimming, I would make use of the gym and probably do some of the exercise classes. So all in, a leisure centre membership would be incredibly good value for money. And that's what this frugal budget is all about. We still want to do the fun things that we enjoy. We're not cutting it down to the misery level, but we want to get good value for money on the things that we do pay for. Next is the social fund for eating out and having a drink once in a while. This was tricky as I really didn't want to cut this, but then this is a frugal budget and eating out is a luxury, but then it's also an enjoyable thing to do. So I've cut this by just £25 a month, down to £75 a month. If we made any further savings elsewhere, then this could be increased slightly from that level. Now, moving on to the car-related stuff. I've already said that to go with this budget, then we would probably get rid of the car. But this figure of £100 a month wouldn't disappear entirely. The £100 a month that we spend at the moment would get cut in half to £50 a month. And we would call it our transportation budget. So that will cover the odd bus, train, or taxi here and there. This would be tough to keep to this level while we were under 60. However, if we stay in Wales, then once we hit 60 and are entitled to the free bus pass and can also use Welsh trains in the winter, then I feel this budget is easily achievable. Next, we go on to the gas and electricity. So when we move house, we plan to buy a modern, energy efficient house. We may also put solar panels on the roof if there was a grant available or we had spare funds. This would, of course, depend on the roof size and suitability. Either way, living in a smaller, more efficient house will mean lower heating bills. Our current amount of £125 a month can be cut down to £100 a month. Also of note here is if we move to a coastal location, then they tend to be milder in the winter, saving on those extreme cold parts of the winter that really push up the heating requirements. Next is holidays. If we're going to do this budget, then we've got to go big. So this needs to be cut. One requirement that we want to maintain is a holiday abroad at least once a year. I know it's a luxury, but I don't feel this enjoyment should be taken out altogether. We really look forward to our trips abroad, so a compromise needs to be done here. This compromise would be staying self-catering or bed and breakfast with cooking facilities in our apartment. If our budget was £1,500 a year, then this would still cover a 2-week holiday abroad out of season, so probably around June time. This price includes all the costs like travel to the airport and what have you. And our 2 weeks of our normal food budget would also be able to pay for the groceries required. It'd certainly be tighter than we used to, but at the same time doable. So this £1,500 budget per year is £125 a month. Next is the food budget at £80 a week, equivalent to £350 a month. Normally, we undercut this by about a tenner a week at the moment, so we won't cut this. However, any money spare could be used to help support any of the other items in our budget. Now, onto the council tax. We've already said that we want to downsize our current house for retirement. We have the opportunity to substantially reduce our council tax in this move. We reckon we could go down from a band F at the moment to a band C or a band D. This could reduce our annual bill to around £2,000 or maybe slightly more per year. If we budget £2,700 a year, then this would allow for above average rises, and any spare would help the rest of the budget as well. So £2,700 a year is £225 a month. So that's the figure we're going to use. So that's our extreme frugal budget, £1,295 a month. A big drop down from our current forecasted budget of just under £1,700 a month. Let's see how those figures compute when applied to our retirement tracker. So we don't have to change the majority of the input values, like house price, etc., as these have no reflection on the amount we need to save. Also, we don't need to tick the downsizing box, as the monthly outgoings figures are already in to reflect the downsizing. The only options we need to look at is whether we want the 25% tax-free cash at the start and to select our target retirement age. As we wouldn't need to pay off our mortgage after downsizing, then there would be no need for the tax-free cash. So we'll uncheck that box. We could take it out if we wanted and invest in ISAs, but either way, it would be used to help fund retirement. Next is the retirement age. We know we can easily retire at 58 with the old budget. So let's try some lower age figures. Let's go for 55. So that's really interesting. With the lower budget of £1,295 a month, the tracker shows that we already have enough in our pension pots and we don't have to make any monthly contributions to our SIPs and workplace pensions. It says we need £138,150 to cover the years 57 to 67. And we already have saved £140,481. And that's assuming no growth. So we already have enough. So that's the years after 57 covered. Now on to the years before 57. For a retirement at 55, we would be just £19,851 short. That's just £763 to save each month instead of our £1,220 contributions that we're making to our pension at the moment. So whilst this extreme budget is doable and would enable us to retire at 55, we would prefer to stick to our original budget of just under £1,700 a month. It would drop down anyway to about £1,550 a month with the reduced council tax and energy bills if we downsized. This frugal budget that I've just shown you would be bared in mind if we ever needed to cut costs. So, say if prices went up due to higher than expected inflation, it would be our fallback option to get us out of any financially sticky situations. Like if the food shopping went up above our £80 a week budget, then we could reduce money in other areas to help out in that area. Hopefully, that's given you an idea of the flexibility our original budget has, and that we should be able to adapt to most problems. Please drop a comment if you think we've gone too low this time, or if you think it's achievable. And like we have our leisure centre memberships and holidays abroad that we would always try and maintain, do you have a budget expense that you simply couldn't do without in retirement? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.